Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of The Balance with Erika B. I'm your host, Erika, and I always say in the beginning of my episodes, now you have started to come to welcome to the shit show. Yeah, pretty much. So, podcast was formerly known as the Balance Boss Mom podcast, where we talked about motherhood, fatherhood, all different type of things, but we have elevated now. We have rebranded ourselves. So, I am so excited for this next guest to come onto my podcast because this month is for June and it's honoring men's mental health for this month. And I'm excited because not a lot of people talk about men's mental health. And I wanted to be a voice to get out there for we always talk about what the woman needs and how to be a better mom and how to be better in all aspects. But we never get to talk about the men's side of things and what they feel and how they need to, how to be uplifted. So I don't want them to stay silent any longer. So I'm excited. Adam, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Congrats on the rebrand too. Embrace it. It's a journey podcasting. Even with my show, I'm on my third rebrand, but it gets
See,
better and better every era.
I'm learning as I go with this rebrand that I get to talk about a lot more things that I want to talk about. I get to
Hmm.
bring more men onto the podcast to talk about their mental health. I get to bring sports into the element because I know men like sports and I like sports. Of course,
Sports
I am a
fans, of
Chicago
course.
Bears fan, just saying,
Boo.
Chicago Bears fan. So don't hate me. Don't hate me. I'm a Chicago Bears fan. I'm gonna predict it now, and it might not happen,
It's
but
not.
I'm claiming it. So I'm gonna say for the Super Bowl, Chicago Bears is going to the Super Bowl.
You
We're
sound like
going.
a Cowboys fan right now.
No, not okay. For all the Cowboys fans, including my spouse. If you hear this episode,
Oh,
I
he's
love you.
rubbing off on you.
Well, it's possible.
It is.
That is possible. We've been together for quite some time, so he is a Cowboys fan, and so I know the Cowboys fans always say that they're going to the Super Bowl and they
Every
haven't
year.
in a while. However,
They were close. I'll give you that. They were super close, but they did get rid of a lot of good weapons that they needed.
they
So it's gonna be a little choppy this year.
You know what? I was thinking about that over when they got rid of all our key players, and I was kind of
Hmm.
like thinking from a management standpoint. I understand there is a cap. All teams have caps, right?
It's
But
imaginary, in
I
my opinion.
but in my opinion, I feel like they've elevated so much this season, like this past football season, to the point where I was like, you could have paid all these people. But I think because they're moving the stadium, which I think is a terrible idea, which they shouldn't be getting rid of the stadium. I think they need to stay at Soldier Field and not move to Arlington Heights or move to Indiana, which I am from Gary, Indiana, by the way. But I don't think they should move. I think they need to, you know what the saying is if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right. Yeah, I get you saying.
Don't break something that needs to be fixed. It's just, I don't know. We just have to wait and see. Now, Cowboys, on the other hand, it's another story for another day. But yes,
We're
so
gonna let them live today.
we're going to let them live today. However, I'm claiming it. And if y'all come back in my comments talking about the Bears suck this season, I will turn all comments off. Just saying, we are not a Bears hater over here.
I'm probably gonna send you a direct message.
But they got some good people. Like Kobe Bryant I heard is good. And Caleb just released his did you see the Madden cover?
I didn't actually. I've been out of sync.
Oh yeah. Let me know how you feel about the Madden cover because they have now done a
Gotcha.
petition to get him off of the Madden cover. Yeah. So I want my guests to know a little bit about who's Adam, what are you passionate about, what keeps you busy these days?
All the football talk out the way. All right,
Mhm.
so I am Adam Wilson. I am a certified health coach, but I decided to focus on men's mental health and wellness because, like you said in your intro, nobody talks about it. Nobody, besides this month. And this month, you will see all the posts, all the engagement, a lot of women saying, like, men, I care about you. How are you feeling? Other men who will say the same thing, basically, like, brother, I'm here for you, this and that. But it's, what about the rest of the 11 months? You don't see
Mhm.
posts like that. And then when you see guys having emotions or having like those mental breakdowns, which a lot of guys do, it's met with negative feedback, right? And
Mhm.
so for me, that what keeps me busy. I run up my own podcast called the Inner King Initiative, where it's all about manhood, fatherhood. I'm bringing guests on who are teaching. I'm taking into a new era now myself, and I'm going to be teaching a lot more solo episodes. I run a community. I'm with about 50 guys so far right now. I'm even taking that into a new era, and we meet every Saturday. We have conversations, and it ranges. It's all about manhood. It's our time to really come together, sharpen each other up, and just grow as men because we need each other. And I think
Mhm.
that's part of the problem too. A lot of us want to stay in our silos of like not talking, and so somebody had to be the one to say, "Hey, let's meet up." It could be virtual. And so that's my entire thing right now, just coaching men and working with them, learning what's problems that we're all facing because we all have different issues, and just podcasting. That's my love right now.
I love that. You know what? Like you stated, out of the 1 month out of 11 months, nobody really talks about the men's mental health. I
Mm-hmm,
feel like men get told a lot of times that their feelings just don't matter. And I want to flip that because it does matter.
hmm.
And what brought me to have this conversation is because I see it in my spouse so often where he tells me like, when I go outside in the world, you just don't know what I'm dealing with outside of
Hmm.
the home. And it brought me to a conversation like this because I was like, well, you're also not often taught to talk about your feelings or talk about what's important. Like, why are you feeling the way that you feel? Or why are you crashing out the way that you're crashing out? So I'm trying to find another approach where for me to learn a little bit more about men's mental health, how I can help my spouse in another way.
Right. I think for women, it's just you kind of have to be patient because, like you said, we were taught to not really. Well, let me say it like this: we were really taught to not have emotions, right?
Mhm,
We were supposed to suck it up. We were supposed to keep going and just carry it all, right? And that's not even feasible for any human, right? And so a
mm,
lot of men are still walking around as broken boys because
mhm,
we were taught to hide ourselves. So a lot of men are broken boys with a mask on, and we're trying to navigate life. We're trying to navigate marriage, fatherhood, which has all of its own problems inside of itself. Or not problems, but challenges. There it goes.
mhm,
And so, how do we navigate that if we're not talking about it? And I recently made a post on Threads, maybe like 2 weeks ago now, and it talked about how I didn't realize a lot of boys were molested as kids,
mhm,
and like it, I say it went semi-viral. It didn't really go that far, but I had a lot of responses, more responses than I would any get on any post, and a lot of
mhm,
guys were coming and saying, "Man, that happened to me," or and a lot of women were saying, like, "I know guys that happened to, but they just won't talk about it." So it's like
mhm.
a part of healing is talking about it. A part of healing is being able to be vulnerable and open. But that does not mean be vulnerable and open to everybody. So you have to
That's
have a safe
true.
space. And to your husband's point, you don't know what we're dealing with going out to the world, especially as black men. We get attacked just for being black. I get looked
Mhm.
at crazy because I'm a big black guy. I get looked at like, oh, you're dangerous. And sometimes my wife would be like, he's okay. He's not doing anything.
And that's exactly how I am. Like, we'll
Hmm.
go to a store or we're at a restaurant or we're just out and about just enjoying our day. And it's like, I hate that we have to bring race into the factor in
But it's a
every
fact.
conversation, but it is a fact. It is, and it sucks
Hmm.
because it's like I was just talking to somebody about this the other day saying that it sucks feeling like you're the last at the tattle pole as an
Hmm.
African American woman and as an African American man. And it's like, I wish people would understand what we go through a little bit more because they really don't understand what we go through. And I
At
wish
all.
ourselves as African American women and men to go through understanding what our value is more worth about.
Hmm.
Because sometimes if we don't understand what our value is, we're never gonna go the distance that we want to go through. And it took me a long time to understand that because when I as a kid, and I see it now in my daughter, as a kid, it's kind of like we're teaching our kids, to you're smart, you're amazing, you're talented, you're beautiful, you're smart. You're a beautiful human. You're a smart king. You're a little king. You're a little queen. Always represent yourself in the highest span. And so as we get older, it's like we're just starting to see our worth a little bit more, but it's still more kind of in the beginning when you're just like a kid. It's kind of like sugar coated is what I'm trying to lean towards.
Oh yeah, because as the adults now, especially like millennials, we have to go back and heal. So our kid, and we're realizing that and I always say millennials are like we're the transition generation, right? Because we were
Yeah.
before. First of all, slavery wasn't that long ago. Let's start there. And a lot of our parents were born right after that. right? And then
Mhm.
we go into the world is changing. Technology is starting to take off. We're that generation that was like before technology and on the rise of technology, right? And
Mhm.
so that has changed the world so much. But even as a general person, not even black, white, whoever you are, you can leave your house and die today. Something can happen to you. You could be sitting in a
Yep.
church house and somebody would come and just shoot it up or a school or whatever. So we already have these worries. And then now we're trying to teach our kids while healing at the same time.
Yep.
And that is
And
hard. And
that
I
is.
see it a lot with my son. Sometimes I'll see myself as a kid and it helps me to kind of
Mhm.
like say, oh man, that was me. Or like even that I went back the other day and I said, my son is 8 years old now. When I was eight, I was like the weapon that was used in a divorce. And I
Mhm.
was getting tugged back and forth. He has like peace. He's here at this house. He gets to have fun. I'm just like, wow, what it would be like, right? And so a lot of us have
Mhm.
to go back. And it's hard to go back sometimes.
And you know what the other thing is speaking of generations like millennials and going back into healing, like you just pointed out, one of the things I get very frustrated with is they always say the older generation, and I'm sorry to say this, guys, but you can get mad at
It's
me if you
facts.
want. But the thing that gets me very frustrated is they always say, well, millennials are weak. Millennials don't want to do the work. Millennials just don't want to do this. And that's far from the truth. I think what it is as a millennial myself, and you might attest to this, is that we're kind of fed up and we're kind of tired because
You know,
we
yes.
we are tired, you know?
Yes.
And it's like,
And
although
oh,
we started with social media and social media has evolved because our
mhm,
generation has evolved, we're tired of hearing we're not working hard enough or we're weak or y'all are just a bunch of crybabies and you don't know what we had to do to survive. And I'm like, do
we
you
had to
not
survive you.
know what we have to do to survive, how we
Mhm.
have to figure out our feelings. We have to figure out how to go back into healing. We got to figure
Mhm.
out, well, today this job is just, I'm stuck, but we just got to figure it out. And
Mhm.
with the older generation, I feel like they're so stuck in their ways. Again,
Absolutely.
if y'all want to attack me, y'all can, but I can take it. As the older generation, I feel like they get so stuck in their ways, but then all of a sudden they want to be like, "Can you help me?" And it's like, "Oh no, I thought you didn't need the help. You got every
Mhm.
answer figured out." And that is so frustrating. And I can see where the frustration, especially with my spouse, because he wants to say how he feels,
He
but
doesn't know
then
how.
he doesn't know how.
Mhm.
And I wish we can break that stigma of just say what's on your like for me, I'm just like, say what you gotta say and just ugh, but I'm a Pisces. I end up vomiting at
Mhm.
the mouth anyways. So it's just like, just say what you gotta say. If a person don't like it, they don't like it. If they do like it, okay. And we're in a time right now as well for men and women, but actually for men, where if they say how they feel, it's a sign of weakness. To me, I don't think it's a sign of weakness.
Mhm. Well, see, let's go back to like the older generations first, right? I think a lot of us millennials are fed up because we're getting tired of stuff that has nothing to do with us. The older generation thinks everybody under them is millennials, and it's like, no, they're not. So when you had Gen Z and all of them doing all the crazy things, it was, oh, millennials this and millennials that. We're all like, we're at work. We're not doing anything. This is not us. Like we're at work starting families, like trying to figure out the
Mhm.
things that you didn't teach us, right?
Mhm.
And we sometimes we blame like our parents and stuff, right? And so I went back before and I always encourage people talk to your parents, talk to them about their lives, like how they grew up, and you will realize that a lot of the things that we're lacking, they didn't even learn, so they couldn't teach it to us,
Mhm.
right? Because even look at it now as parents, what I know and the things that I'm learning, I make sure my kids know it because I want them to
Mhm.
know it because it's going to help them later. And let's be honest, our parents probably wanted the same thing, but they were also broken people who did not know how to heal. And even now,
Mhm.
a lot of the older generation will not take accountability for what they've done to us. And it's really because they don't want okay, let me not just say just them. As humans, we don't want to feel bad. We don't want to be in the wrong. We want to be right all the time. And so that
Mhm.
lack of accountability is a testament to that, right?
Mhm.
And going to like how you said, like you just want your husband to say what's on his mind. We were taught not to do that. But
Right.
on the flip side, women were taught to express themselves, talk about emotions and feelings. Women will get together and talk about what's going on and how it made them feel. But as guys, we won't do that. Most guys won't even answer like, how are you doing right now, Tips?
Mhm.
because it's like that's uncomfortable. When I first started my community on one of my first calls, I asked the guys, I said, what do you want to do in the next 6 months? Like, who do you want to be? Like, what is your life? Like, what do you want, basically? And you
Mhm.
kid you not, they couldn't answer the question. Everybody started talking about
Really?
careers. Everybody started talking about doing things for other people. And in that moment I stopped and I said, "Guy, I'm asking you about you, not everybody else." And everybody was like, "Man, I needed you to say that." It is because we were taught to focus on everybody else. We're supposed to provide and just not
Mhm.
feel and not do anything. Look at the older generations. You'll see guys who are broken down on canes, barely being able to walk, and the wife is all vibrant. The kids all like loving
Yeah.
it. And it's like we as men have to realize there's more than life than providing. Sometimes provision doesn't look like money. It looks like your presence in their home or just being around
Mm.
your kids.
Mhm.
And I always say, go back to you as a kid, especially if your parents didn't give you the time that you wanted. Go back and remember how that felt because your kids need that now. Your wife need that now. And if we're not healing and being in solitude and getting comfortable with ourselves, then we're not able to show up in our marriage and in our family like we're supposed to.
So, oh, excuse me. What would be a way that can I say this? What can it be a way where we can break the stigma of not just having a month for men's mental health, but to make sure it lasts a lifetime?
Right. So as men, we have to want it. Anybody, when you want to change in your life, you have to want it. Nobody around you can want it more than you do. And I tell people that when I'm coaching them, like, we can sit on these calls, you could pay your price and get here and we can talk. But if you don't want it, it's not going to happen. Right. And so
Mhm.
it's really stepping into the fear of being seen. You have to do it. Your wife can't do it for you. Your kids can't do it for you. Your mom can't, your dad can't do it for you. Like you have to do it. And it's a scary journey, honestly. And there was things
Mhm.
about myself I realized and I was just like, oh my, like, dang, I was really acting like this. Like, why was I doing this? And sometimes it goes so far to that realization happens. But we also have to be willing to get into spaces where people are already talking about it. There's a lot of therapists who are hosting events. There's a lot of coaches that I've come across who are hosting events, but guys just won't go.
And
Why?
that's the thing. I have and love my man down. Hurt you, you know that, boo. Anyways, love him down. When he hears this episode, he's gonna understand that he knows I love him down. But
Got you.
I have tried to push him in. Not. I don't want to say push. I try to speak words of affirmation into him and let him know, I see it. I feel it. I see what you're going through.
Mm,
And we have been talking about things like finding a therapist that he can talk to or finding find like a safe space for him. But he's like, I've asked for the help, but nobody's helping me and I can't find this. But I feel like he's scared to take that jump. And I feel
mhm.
like once he takes that jump to find because I told him, I said, here are a list of therapists that are in the area. You have to figure that out. I can't figure the therapist out. I can figure out a
You
therapist
have
for
to.
me,
Right.
but you have to take the time to look and see who's a match for you or the
Hmm.
resources for you. I can give it to you, but I can't say, hey, so and so, can you be a match for my spouse?
Yeah.
That
So
that
honestly, when I went started therapy, because let's go to that too. In our community, therapy was taboo for a really long time. It was like you were psycho if you were going to therapy, right?
Mhm. I
So me and
remember
my
that.
wife have been together about 10 years now. And when we first got together, she was in therapy. And when she told me, I looked at her like, what's wrong with you? Right. And like, but she started to tell me like why she was in therapy. And I was like, oh, okay. But I was just like, not for me. I didn't start therapy until 3 years ago, actually.
Okay.
But at that time, I was like, "Let me just try it. Let me figure it out," right? And I started to learn
Mhm.
more about myself to where I'm like, "Oh, this is beneficial," right? And I don't care who knows I'm in therapy. Right now, I'm not. I'm actually looking for another therapist because I hire and fire people all the time, right? And I tell people
I've
like,
been trying to find one for myself too, and it's
yeah,
been my actually, the last therapist I had ghosted me, went to overseas and never called me back. I was like, "Okay, this is what we're doing." And I that also another thing I feel like with men trying to find a therapist is they don't know if a therapist is gonna ghost them, or they don't know if a therapist is I think another thing is accountability, because if the therapist say something one slick thing wrong, I feel like the men is probably gonna be like, "This ain't for me," and cut it.
but that's ego.
Mhm.
That's ego and pride because if you're gonna do the healing work, you have to be able to take the bullets. Like you have to be
Yeah.
able to dig into that wound and pull out whatever shrapnel bullet that's still there and take it out. It's going to hurt. It's supposed to. It's supposed to be uncomfortable, but we don't want to be uncomfortable, right? And then also
True.
too, there's a trust issue. As men, we don't trust easy. And I always tell
Mhm.
people, if you're gonna go into therapy, start interviewing therapists, book those free consultations, take that 30-minute conversation and talk. I think one day I sat here, my last therapist, I sat there one day and I had 5 therapist consultations in that day. And I did my research on them first to say, okay, these are the top 5 I'm picking. Now let me go in a consultation with them and figure out if they're the right match for me. I found one that was the perfect match for me. And he helped me through like one of the toughest seasons I've been through. And I was like, but if I didn't take that initiative to actually look for myself, my wife couldn't do it. Because if she was like, "Oh,
Mhm.
I found a therapist for you," I'd just be like, "Oh, okay. That's what's up. I'm glad." And I would have never reached out to that person. You have to want it
Mhm.
yourself for your mind to continue to go forward.
Yeah, and that's something that I wanna let men know that it's not a bad thing to go to therapy, guys.
Mm-mm.
I
It's
mean, I
actually
know
really
it's
enlightening.
like it is, and it breaks the mold of what's really going on inside, which I'm glad that I'm gonna be taking my season this season, whatever I'm going through this season, I don't
Mhm,
know, to find me another therapist because it's not only that, it is kinda hard trying to find a therapist and find that
mhm.
directions and that resources to find a therapist. Because some
Yeah,
therapy, they look at it as a dollar value. Other therapy, they're like, okay, I just want to actually heal you. And
yeah.
so I want to ask you in this season, or because of course it's men's mental health for this month, but we're not going to keep pushing it just one month. It's going to be every month for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to try my
This
best.
is my life mission right now.
What does strength look like to you as a Black man?
Vulnerability, honestly. And so for me specifically, I don't want to speak for everybody. I say vulnerability because it takes strength to be vulnerable. I know
Mm,
we were taught that strength meant toughness, not letting people see you weak or whatever, but it takes a lot to
mhm,
say, this is how I'm feeling right now. And I don't like it. Right. And even in your household with your spouse, if you have one, you have to be able to say how you feel to the T. I was just listening to Jason Wilson and he was talking about how the woman can meet you like it's a 64 bucks crayon versus a 32, and how a woman can meet you
mhm,
with the color lime and you're meeting her with green, but you have to adjust to meet her where she is too. And it's like, as a leader, you have to do that. As a leader, you have to be able to get in tune with your emotions and realize it's okay. And a lot of
mhm,
men are scared to cry. And it's like, you have to. There's a science that tells you that your tears isn't just water, it's also stress hormones. So if you're just letting your body just keep cycling that stress around, you're going to continue to have stress. And a lot of guys, and also just being able to prioritize yourself, right? Having
mhm.
dominion over you, like who you keep around you, like where you put your energy, all those different things. For me, that is what strength looks like, is having dominion over yourself and your life.
I like that. And so would you say also having the accountability as well?
Oh yeah, you have to kind of have accountability for yourself. I think sometimes, even as every human, really, sometimes we look for other people for accountability, but they're not with you 24/7. I tell my clients, you can come to me and I can hold you accountable. We can meet once a week and I can talk to you, but what about the rest of those 6 days? You
Mhm.
have to be the one to say, okay, I know I really don't feel like doing this, but this is going towards my goal. So I have to do it because I'm dedicated to this. That's self accountability. I always tell people, like, you have to lead within before you can lead on the outside.
So, and if there's a man that is going through like a season where they just feel like they can't go to their spouse, or if they feel like they just can't give go to anyone. I don't know why I'm getting tongue tied. Go to anybody. What advice would you give to someone that's going through a tough season as a man going through this?
Honestly, if you feel like you can't go to anybody, okay, now, well, I will say your spouse, because sometimes as a man, you shouldn't pour everything onto your wife, right? So there's some
Uh-huh.
things that you have to deal with outside of her, but there's always somebody you can go to. Always. There's therapists. We were just talking about therapists. But I think a lot of guys, it's that pride of being seen that stops them and saying, like, well, I don't have anybody to go to, right?
Mhm.
Or even if you can't afford a therapist or whatever, grab a journal, $2 journal, and actually write how you're feeling and talk about, really let it out on paper, because that is also a form of release.
You know what? I've started journaling too. And
How you
journaling
feel.
has been it's enlightening to see how you
Hmm.
feel on paper because
How
it's
long have you
like
been doing it?
I've been doing it when did I get my journal? I started in December. Yeah,
Yeah,
I started in December because I ended
about
up
6 months.
We found out we were expecting in November. Actually, found out we started to expect a new arrival in November. I was kind of feeling like something was there, but I couldn't tell. So by the time end of November, I found out I was expecting. Ended up miscarrying right before New Year's, the day before New Year's, and I said, "I gotta start. I have to start writing." I was like, "Because this is a lot. This is this is
Oh,
this is a
it
lot.
is.
It's a lot." And we were so excited. We was beyond excited. Like, he would be in the middle of the grocery store, and some would just tell him to stop and start praying, and he was
Mhm.
praying over baby clothes and stuff. So we were really excited. That happened, and he kind of had a moment to himself, and I was like, "I'm gonna let
Mhm.
him have that moment because I have to have my moment."
We're all
And
entitled to our moments.
we are all entitled to our moments, but in that season for him, and I think he's still going through it, I can kinda tell, but sometimes I want to tell him, "It's not our plan. It just maybe wasn't our plan, and it's in God's hands." And I feel like right now he carries so much pressure on himself to
Mhm.
where he'll have the crash out moment and then just be like, "I'm sorry." And I want to be able to let him know you don't have to be sorry for having a moment.
Right.
Now, you don't have to have the moments every month or every other month, but I want to reassure him that I'm here, because it's a lot of pressure that you guys carry,
Oh, yeah.
when you go outside,
Unspoken pressure.
just go outside into the world trying to, you want to provide, but the economy is not letting you provide, or you want to shower your spouse with a whole bunch of gifts, but you can't do that because of the way the economy is. And it
Mhm.
sucks. This economy is the worst that it's ever been. But I want to try to get people to understand that if you have a spouse that is a guy, or however your spouse is, or a friend that is a man, give them that safe space, because I don't
Mm.
think a lot of men have the safe space.
Yeah, and also to pray over him because and like you said, just being there and like letting him know that he has you, that does way more than you realize. It may not do anything in the moment, but every time you show up, you're planting seeds. Because later in life, after he gets past all this, he's gonna look back and say, "Man, I've been through all this, but everything I went through, she was right
And
there,
what's so funny
pouring
that
into me."
it's so funny that you said that, because it was one day he said, it was just random out the blue, and he said, out of everything that we've been through, all these years we've been together, he said, "You've been by me." He said,
Whole time.
"Nobody else has been by me." And
Hmm.
sometimes I'd be like, "Why did it take so long for you to say this, sir?" And then I'm like, but that's in my head. But then I'm like, okay, I'll just smile about it and let him vent to me, because he
Take your
just will
win.
just take my win. Because if I say something to ruin this moment, he's gonna be like, "You ruined the moment." And
And that
so,
also, like, gives a negative too, because in those moments, let's talk about that because it takes a lot for him to even say that. So
mhm,
if he's met with negative feedback or negative comments from you, that's gonna reinforce I don't have anybody to talk to. But you have to remember, we were programmed not to talk. We were programmed not to express ourselves and to seem weak.
mhm,
So that programming, like 30 plus years, depending on how old you are, that has to get
mhm,
rewired and that takes time. And I can say that from experience because me and my wife lost our first one years ago. And
mhm.
for me, I shut down. I completely shut down. And it was so bad that I wasn't even there for her because I didn't know how to be there for myself. Now, if it happens, I don't know. I'll be a little stronger now. I did a lot of healing since then. I'm still going. But it took a while for us to even really talk about it. And months later, our son, who was 8, she was pregnant with him. So it was like sometimes it doesn't happen in that moment because it's going to happen
Mhm.
later.
And that's how I look. I'm trying to look at things, especially for him in this season, because I see that he's probably going through a season right now, and he just don't know
Mm.
how to approach it with me. So I try to turn that negative into a positive. And whether you're a woman listening to this conversation, or if you're a man really listening to this conversation, I hope you share this with someone, because as a spouse, a mom, a friend, or whatever, a sister, what are some ways we can better support our friend, or our spouse, or a brother?
Just being present. And I think be present without trying to fix it because that's a thing.
Right.
I had to my wife was a fixer, and I had to tell her, I was like, "You can't fix everything."
I'll stop that.
Sometimes you just being around is way more beneficial than you saying, "Oh, well, we could do this, trying to fix it, because I don't need you to
Mhm.
fix it. I just need to process this and figure it out." Because that's we're gonna figure it out eventually, but there's a process behind it. So really just being present is the really one of the best ways, because it may not work in that moment, or you may not see it working. Because like, think of a seed. You plant a seed in the ground, you start to water it. You don't see it working
Mhm.
until it sprouts. It's the same thing with us and our minds. You have to consistently just be there. And I know it's hard. Now, I'm not saying sit there in a disrespectful relationship, getting beat on or whatever. Don't do
Right.
that. But if it's a healthy situation where it's just like, okay, how do I help him through this? And I know, like, sometimes my wife would say, your frustrations isn't at me. And I'd be like, you're right. It's not.
I
Right.
like your wife. I like
Yeah.
her. I think we can be friends because I
Right.
say the same thing. I'm like, "You're taking these frustrations out on
Mhm.
me? That is has
And it's not me.
nothing to do with me."
And sometimes we need that, because sometimes we get so wrapped into what's going on that it's consuming. So that simple phrase of your frustration is not with me and I'm here to help can be like, oh, you're right. Like, let me pause real quick. Right. And even with like brotherhood, as men, we should be prioritizing brotherhood, like, to the T. Because one, we shouldn't pour everything on our women. And be honest with you, women are not going to truly understand what we're going through, because that's like trying to give somebody advice about an experience that they never had, that you never had. I mean, right? And so getting around other guys and realizing, like, I'm not the only one going through things like this. I'm not the only one who needs this community. Like, I have guys in my community. When I've been speaking with everybody, like, individually, trying to figure out, like, okay, is this being beneficial for you? Like, how is it going for you? And every guy is like, man, I've gotten to the points where I prioritize being here, because I see the benefits in my life. I see the benefits of just coming on here for an hour, 2 hours. It's really scheduled for an hour, but sometimes we just be talking and we just let it go. And it was like every Saturday morning, just starting my day off with that helps me get through the next week. And I look forward to coming back. But as guys, sometimes we just want to be by ourselves. I'm not going to bother him because I know he got things going on too. So I'm not even going to say anything to him, not
Mhm.
realizing he needed that conversation too.
He
Like,
needs the conversation, and I
exactly.
think I love this conversation so much because it helps me understand that, 1, we don't need to celebrate men's mental health just for 1 month. It needs to be
Mm-mm.
365 days for years to come. It should be every year. It should be not even a day. But I do wanna play a game with you before we wrap up, and I wanna get your thoughts and your mind, my friend, because I appreciate you being
Oh,
here.
no.
So, my very first question I would like to ask, one word that describes your mental health journey today.
Interesting, for sure.
Mhm.
Only because I uncovered some things. Sometimes we mask things so ways, or we dig it so deep that we forget it happened,
Mhm.
or how things really made us feel in the moment. And
Mhm.
so just going back has been a real interesting journey, just from the beginning of, like, as far as I can remember, like, my parents' divorce, spiraling to almost committing suicide, running away from my family to college and coming back here now after 10 plus years. It's been interesting to say the least,
Okay.
but also very, what's the word I'm looking for? Worth it. There it goes.
I like it. I like it. So what has helped you reset after a stressful day?
Quiet time. So my wife calls me a hippie sometimes, but I got it from her. Let me start there. Disclaimer, I got it from her. So we don't realize that nature is healing, just naturally healing to us in our bodies. And our bodies are configured to respond to nature. Sometimes just sitting, listening to, like, jazz music is very calming for me. Sometimes just picking up my journal and writing, reading a book. I like to go stand in the rain. And the rain actually reduces our cortisol levels and also helps regulate our nervous system. Just taking a nap, spending time with my kids, some other people's kids. I ain't too much of a fan sometimes. But hey, that's a conversation for another day. But
Conversation for another I
weird.
understand.
But just doing things that I enjoy doing. That's really the gist of it. As men, we are taught to just work, 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 but never to live and
Mhm.
enjoy our fruits of our labor.
I like that. What's one misconception about men you like to change?
That we have emotions, and it's okay for us to have emotions. And it's okay for us to cry. It's okay for us to voice how we feel. It's okay for us to not do things just for the love of money. It's okay to be a human being and not a human doing.
I like it. I like that one. Now, I know you stated you like to journal and
Mhm.
read. So I'm curious as to what's your favorite book? what's your favorite podcast, and a resource you can recommend.
Okay. My favorite book. There's so many. I
I
read a lot.
gotcha. I knew I was gonna get you with the books.
No, for the basis of like really like emotional and like really figuring out you, The Garden
Mhm.
Within by me, Dr. Anita Phillips.
Okay.
Yes. I like that book because it teaches you to go back and really see like your internal and
Mhm.
how we're seen in God's eyes. Also, on top of that, The Untethered Soul. The Untethered
Okay.
Soul had opened my eyes so much to like my childhood trauma and how it was affecting me today. Well, not today, but when I read it. Because we don't realize a lot of the things, when we respond to things, sometimes even
Mhm.
the things that we like, the things that we try to run away from, all comes from childhood, right, from our parents and how we try to protect ourselves. That book really, really opened my eyes to that. Favorite podcast? I listen to a lot of them, honestly. Secret to Success podcast is up there for me.
Okay.
That because that's about legacy and building and everything. I just started listening to The Blessed Code, which is another
Okay.
manhood podcast. Love that one as well. And then of course mine. Because why not? Right?
You got to plug in yours.
Yeah, got to.
What's one message you want listeners to be remembered by today?
If we're not taking care of the head of the household and leaders in our lives, then the rest of us will suffer. Yeah. If we're not taking care of the men who are actually the leaders, it's like I look at life as a business. Like if the CEO and the board is not taking care of themselves and making good decisions, the rest of the business suffers. As a household, if as the man is not in the right place, the rest of the family is not going to be in the right place.
I
Because how
like
can you lead something you're not leading yourself?
that. You tell people. I like that. Well, as always, we're gonna wrap it up for today. But I want to thank you so much for spending this lovely hour with me in reference to talking
No
about men's
problem.
mental health and getting it out there. As this month we're recognizing men's mental health for June, I just want to say we need to recognize it all year round. If you're a man
Absolutely.
listening, your feelings are valid, your struggles are real, and just know there's somebody listening out there and want you to be heard. Adam
Me.
wants you to be heard. Before we wrap up, Adam, can you tell the guests where they can follow you?
So you can go to my website, www.riseinnerking.com. My social media is at the Adam Wilson underscore. And you can get to my community from my website as well, too, if you want to join there.
All right, you heard him. Well, if this
Oh,
today's
in the podcast.
oh yeah,
Sorry
and
about that.
well,
In
the
the
pod
podcast is on YouTube as well as the audio platforms is Inner King Initiative.
you can't forget the podcast, y'all. You gotta check his podcast.
Yeah,
Anyways, as I say, if today's episode resonates with you, please share this episode. We're back, you guys. This rebrand has started and we're kicking it. We're making it live. So you can follow
absolutely.
me. Still the same way to follow me is all social medias are going to be the same. The Balance with Erika B. We're still on YouTube as well. Until next time, you guys as men, like I stated, keep your head afloat. You are loved. You are valid. You are smart, talented. Keep staying happy, regardless of whatever you're going through. Just know there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So, without further
Mm.
ado, this is The Balance with Erika B. I'm your host, Erica. Bye, guys.